Welcome back to Head on Al Jazeera English. I'm joined this week by Danny Ayalon, former Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister, founder of the group The Truth About Israel. Danny, you have lobbied extensively against the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, the JCPoA. You think it's a bad deal, and like Prime Minister Netanyahu, you welcomed President Trump's decision to pull the United States out of that deal, to violate it. So to be clear, you don't agree that the deal, with all its faults, is working and is putting off the realization of the Iranian nuclear vision by 10 to 15 years?
No, if you look for the last 2.5 years since the deal was signed in Vienna, you see the aggression of Iran not only has multiplied by 10 times. Iran, since signing the deal, has become much more aggressive, has not stopped testing ballistic missiles, and you do ballistic missiles only to put a warhead, which is nuclear, nothing else. And the deal itself is not actually neutralizing the capabilities of Iran. It just supposedly suspends it. And
so people who say the Iran deal has neutralized a major threat to the world, they're wrong.
Absolutely.
That's the former head of Shin Bet, Israeli intelligence, Carmi Gillen.
You're right. Maybe they were just...
And the quote I said earlier about, with all its faults, it's working, it's putting off realization of the Iranian nuclear vision. Do you know who said that?
Probably.
The head of Israel's military, General Gadi Eisenkot. So what do you know that the head of Israel's military and the former head of its spy service don't know?
And guess what? The head of Israeli military. He's still there working with everybody because we have pluralism of ideas. Okay,
but the substance,
what
about what he said?
The substance is that there is a sunset clause where they can now in 7.5 years become a nuclear country. The substance is that there is no verification which is robust, and many sites are precluded because they are declared military sites.
The head of the IAEA, the UN body tasked with investigating nuclear programs around the world, says, quote, Iran is subject to the world's most robust nuclear verification regime under the JCPoA, which is a significant gain. As of today, the IAEA can confirm that the nuclear-related commitments are being implemented by Iran. That was him in May. So who should we trust, the head of the IAEA or you?
Trust the facts. Trust the facts and straight logic, common logic. I believe that the IAEA are not lying. They do not find anything. But why aren't they finding anything? Because they have 24 days in advance to let them know they're coming. And there are many, many areas which are designed military areas where they have no entry to. Now we know that the Iran has lied and has cheated time and again. As a member, wait a minute, as a signatory to NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, they have broken all the rules, all international commitments.
What I don't understand is if it's common sense, as you say, why is it that the head of Israel's military, the former head of Shin Bet, the former head of Mossad, your spy agency, the former head of Israeli military intelligence, the former head of Israel's Atomic Energy Commission, the chair of Israel's space agencies, your country's top military, defense, intelligence, nuclear experts are saying the deal's a good deal, it protects Israel, it protects the region, it protects the world. Well, why should we ignore all of them and trust you, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Donald Trump?
They do not say it's a good deal. He said it's the situation may be better than before. And I say it's not better than before. It may put Iran on hold, but we are not certain.
And yet the world's non-proliferation experts in open letters, the top nuclear scientists in the world, the EU, the UN, the IAEA, they all say it's working.
I know international diplomacy. There's nothing which is more hypocritical than cynic. There are some interests who are in between. I can tell you that until '38, most people here said Germany, Nazi Germany, is not a threat. Okay. Were they all wrong? Yes, they were all wrong.
Well, isn't the problem...
Are they all wrong now?
It's funny,
yes, they are.
It's funny you talk about predictions. In 1992, your Prime Minister said Iran was 3 years away from building the nukes. That was 26 years ago. In 1995, he said Iran was 3 to 5 years away from building nukes. In 2009, he said they were 1 to 2 years away from building nukes. The boy who cried wolf had a better record with wolves than Netanyahu has with Iran's nuclear program. Why do you think you have any credibility, the Israelis, when you come and talk about Iran's nuclear program? You've been wrong for 26 years.
We were not wrong. Some things had happened in between. There were some who prevented Iran to rush for it. And there were some...
Come on, Dan.
There were some...
Every 2 to 3 years, Netanyahu issued a warning, and suddenly something happened to make his warning just inaccurate.
Well, I can tell you
You've been
that
scaremongering
the
for
Iranians
years.
themselves say that the international community is sabotaging their program. So things have happened. That's it.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Sabotaging their program. How many nuclear weapons does Iran have as of today?
Right now, I hope none.
Okay, how many does Israel have?
No idea.
No idea? You were in the government. They don't tell you that stuff.
No idea.
Who do they tell?
No idea. I'm telling you, I never discussed it. But it's irrelevant.
It's between... You never discussed Israel's nuclear weapons. You can say that hand on heart. You've never discussed Israel's nuclear... You're expecting us to believe that the Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel never discussed Israel's nuclear deterrent. Seriously, then?
No. So let me tell you, no? It's not all slogans and sound bites, Mehdi.
Tell yourself.
I did not discuss Israel nuclear weapons. I did discuss Israel nuclear policy. There is a big difference.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. So now we've got past that semantic evasion.
No, you have to...
How many nuclear weapons does Israel have?
I don't
Because
know.
experts say it's anywhere between 80 and 400.
So what?
So what?
Yeah, so what? Has Israel ever threatened...
Do you recognize the hypocrisy of Israel
No.
having a secret illicit nuclear weapons program that it won't open up its doors to and won't talk about, and then lecturing everyone else in the region about nuclear weapons?
Absolutely not. You know why?
You talked about hypocrisy.
I tell you. So let's start with the legal and formal.
Yeah.
Israel has never been a member, a signatory of the NPT, so we are not breaking any rules. Iran was, Iraq was, Syria is, and they all try to cheat. Number
we
one.
never recognized the laws in the first place.
No.
Okay,
Secondly,
good get out.
Israel is the only country in the world who has been, right, threatened to just erase them. There is only one Jewish state in the world. Less than 1/3 of 1% of the entire Middle East. There are 22 Arab countries, 57. What do you want from us? And they're all trying to gang up on us.
It's not like you're just minding your own business, this kind of Norway in the Middle East with nuclear weapons.
Has Israel ever threatened to erase and attack any country?
I think you'll find plenty of pretty genocidal statements from Israeli leaders.
Show it to me.
Shimon Peres said in response to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad that we could wipe Iran somehow.
Iran has every day threatening to erase
I'm not talking
Israel.
about Iran. I'm asking about Israel's nuclear
Saddam
program.
Hussein said he would burn the entire country of Israel.
Okay.
Assad, Hamas.
Okay.
You know what? Even members of Israeli Knesset,
it's very clear.
Arab countries.
Danny, I'll ask again. We've gone off on a lovely diversion, which you're the master of. How many nuclear weapons does Israel have?
I don't know. By the way, another diversion, which I have to say.
No.
I have to
You can't pre-announce your diversions. Let me ask again. If an Iranian guest came on my show and I asked him about Iran's nuclear program, he said, I don't know, I'm not going to talk about it. Would you be okay with that? You'd be outraged.
Of course
and
I
yet
would
you
be.
sit here as a former
Of course I
minister of
would
the
be,
Israeli
because-
government saying, oh, I don't know,
Of course
never
I would
talked about
be,
nukes with anyone.
Because there was like 16 United Nations Security Council resolutions against Iran.
And there is against Israel. And there is against Israel as well.
About
your nuclear
issues?
program?
No.
Yes, there is. UN
Show it.
Resolution 487. Let me read it to you. The UN Security Council in 1981 says, calls upon Israel urgently to place its nuclear facilities under the safeguards of the IAEA. Why haven't you done that?
Because I'll tell you all why. Because we want to live and survive. This is the only reason.
Okay.
Live and survive.
But you are
Just
defying a
think about
UN
it.
Security Council resolution on your secret
Live
nuclear
and
weapons program.
survive. That's it.
Okay, Avi Schleim, when Danny talks about the threat from Iran, do you recognize that language? How big a threat, in your view, is Iran to Israel today?
Iran is not an existential threat to Israel, but it is a strategic threat. Now, let's compare the records of these two countries. Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. Now,
Okay. Okay, briefly, and then
I have one more point to make. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy?
Professor Schleim, can you say this in a straight face? I cannot believe it. If you look in the details, Israel, right, has been in existential threat ever since its re-establishment, and it was re-established in 1948. And as an historian, I'm sure you will agree. Israel, only out of self-defense, is defending itself, and Israel has never, ever threatened another country.
Israel has attacked its neighbors, not in self-defense. One example, the first one, is the Suez War of 1956. It wasn't a war of self-defense, it was a colonial conspiracy to attack Egypt. Lebanon, 1982, was most emphatically not a war of self-defense, it was an Israeli invasion of Lebanon.
Paul, let me ask you this question. Yes. You're not a member of the Israeli government, you've never been a member of the Israeli government. Can I ask you for a straight answer? How many nuclear weapons does Israel have?
I don't know. Would you asking me an answer?
How many do you think? How many do you think from what you...
You know what, I tell you what, I'm listening to the conversation with all due respect. We cannot rely, Israel cannot rely on Europe and the Western world to defend its own policies. Israel had huge disagreements in its own government whether to take out the Iraqi nuclear core in 1982, and it took it out, and it was condemned at the time. And Israel had the same dispute late 1998 when it took out the Syrian nuclear core, and it was condemned by Europe. And guess what? Later, the condemnation fizzled away. We are in the same positions we were then as we are with Iran.
Do you think Israel should have nuclear weapons? Do you support Israel?
Every weapon, it can possibly defensive weapon, like the Iron Dome, Israel should have 100 Iron Domes.
I didn't ask about the Iron Dome.
Israel should have every defensive weapon.
Do you think Israel should have nuclear weapons?
Absolutely.
Do you think Israel should have nuclear weapons?
As a defensive weapon, Israel should absolutely have nuclear weapons. Iran, as an offensive weapon, should not have nuclear weapons.
Let's go to Diana's been waiting very patiently. There's a difference between offensive Iran and defensive Israel when it comes to nuclear weapons in the Middle East.
Look, what I think we're getting to is that Israel is saying that it is above the law. And it does this time and again. It says that it has a right to attack countries, which it did when it came to Iraq, when it's come to Syria, when it's come to Lebanon, when it's come to the Palestinians. And it's also saying that it has no reason, it has no right to be subjected to the law.
Diana says you're above the law, and you yourself said we didn't sign the NPT. Let me ask you this question. If Iran tomorrow withdraws from the NPT, will you stop talking about Iran? Because they're in your boat. They can do what you do.
Exactly.
Right?
No.
Isn't that the logic of your position?
Because they want nuclear capabilities for offensive measures. If Israel... And again, I'm not at liberty to say anything about this subject. But if Israel has it or not, it is a defensive one.
And the Palestinians... Because you say it's defensive. They would say it's defensive. No. Everyone will get nuclear weapons and say it's for defense.
By the way, I hope Ms. Bhutto is not suicidal, because if Iran, with a nuclear weapon, throwing it on Israel, you and I will die at the same time. You know.
Okay.